Hello and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be turning the top of the grandfather clock into a large mantle clock. This little clock gave me nothing but problems. I've got some little metal fittings here I'm going to be using on the clock, and I've already covered it in a layer of gesso. So far so good, but this whole thing goes terribly bad. I have never done so many editing cuts in my life. So I'm just using some cheap Walmart white acrylic paint in a tube because the original plan was to make the clock white. So I'm putting my paint down and hoping with the gesso that this clock will cover a lot better than those bookshelves I did. And I'm a little off camera, but I'm trying to paint around those posts and make sure I get the inside coated good, because that's where the clock will sit. So I sped it up so you wouldn't have to watch me paint. And yes, I am off camera quite a bit, and I was in this video because I had a lot of dumb ideas that didn't work. It wasn't good. I mean, if Murphy's Law is a thing, it was here in this clock project. So yeah, in the end, I will show a picture at the very end. I got it to a point I can live with, so it's gonna be what it is. So I'm just painting away, putting my white on to make my nice white mantle clock. So yeah, just getting that job done. And it covered very nicely. It really covered good with the gesso down. I did sand it first. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, painting away. Oh yeah. And then I wasn't going to paint the back, and then I'm like, yeah, I better paint the back. If it's up on a mantle that's by a mirror, well, I better paint the back. Oh dear. Okay, so now that I got that done, I am attempting to use my glossy accents, which clogged up and I had to unclog. So what I'm doing is I'm taking one of those jewelry head pins and I'm first putting on little tiny pearls because I'm making a couple little finials to go up on top of the clock, and I can't find the hole in the pearl. It's too small for me to see, but I found it. So I put the pearl on, and my hands are in the way because this is a very tiny thing. So yeah, so there it is. There's the pearl on the head pin. And now I'm putting on some more glossy accents. And it's not wanting to come out like usual. So next I take a gold colored bead and I put that on top of the pearl. And of course I'm going to get full of glossy accents. It's going to happen. So I'm putting some glossy accents on the gold bead now. And on top of that I'm going to put a little flat silver bead type thing. The gold bead and this are metal. The pearl of course is just plastic. So I have them on there, and I'm trying to decide how I'm going to hang this till it dries and hope it dries straight. So yeah, I bent the end because I wanted to hang it somewhere, and now I'm trying to straighten these beads out because I forgot the glossy accents takes forever to dry. So when it gets almost dry, I can go ahead and push them over where I want them and they'll stay in place. But I'm sitting here obsessing about getting these little things right. So I bent the end and I ended up, I have some clips on my tripod and I just clipped it to the tripod and I made 2 of those. So there's that. And I'm still messing with it, trying to get those beads straight, which I didn't. I did later when the glossy accents set up a little bit. Okay, so now I've taped down my metal pieces to, they're on a piece of masking tape folded over. And I'm using my Tester's model paint because I love Tester's Gold. It's very shiny and just what I wanted. You see me shaking that paint around? It gets worse. This was bad. Oh my gosh, this was bad. I was so frustrated by the time I got done with this. I was ready to just tear my hair out. Yeah. Anyway, it'll be a good... it'll be good to show you my frustration, indecision, and somehow in the end I kind of pulled it all together to something I could definitely live with. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. Oh my. Sometimes. And I painted extras because it seems like you always drop something tiny. So just to make sure that, you know, and then I thought about picking up this clock, and this is the clock face, and it's very hard to see. My camera won't zoom in on it even when I try to take still pictures, but I got the best I could for you to see. Maybe when I finally get it in a house. It's not going in the farmhouse because I made my mantelpiece way too thin or too narrow, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, yeah, that's got to go. That is the wooden finial that was originally on the clock, and I glued 2 metal beads to it, and I put it in a tacky glue lid because I was trying to let the glossy accents dry. Anyway, I'm just painting around the clock now and trying to make sure I get it in all the little... It's got kind of a rope-like effect around the side of it. So I'm just trying to make sure I get the sides and everything painted with the model paint. And it's looking okay. It's covered rather well. And now I was cleaning my brush off with some paint thinner, which is in that jar. And about the only thing I can say that went right was I didn't knock the paint thinner over. Oh, it's funny now, but it wasn't. It wasn't earlier. So, anyway, I got that all cleaned up, and I'm putting that back because I don't want to knock it over. So, putting the lid on the model paint, and everything's going good so far, so good. Alright, so I'm just cleaning the brush off a little bit there, and yeah, so now I'm looking at the clock and I'm going, okay, what am I going to do with this clock? What can I do where the face of the clock is going to sit so that there's something else there? So anyway, I get the bright idea to go ahead and I'm going to try my marbling effect on this clock. Now normally it works really well, and I want a black marble, and I do have a video on this if anyone's interested. It also makes cool granite countertops. Just depends on how you pounce it. So I get out my paper towel and I like layers, you know that, so I always start with a light color, and this is antique parchment, and I start dabbing it with the paper towel onto the clock. But I'm starting at this point to realize that I don't have enough room on the sides, and I can't get the paint in there like I want, and I can't smash the paper towel into it like I like to do. But do I stop? No, I keep going. Yeah, so I'm just putting it on there, and yeah, and it's just I can't get under those pillars. And I was afraid to take them off because the wood is old. So anyway, I sped this up. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me do something that, yeah, does not. You'll see. So now I'm putting the yellow on, which is really crucial because when I do my marble, I like to have a bit of the yellow show through. It doesn't always happen, but if it randomly does in the marble, I just look at it as a flaw in the marble. So I'm good with that. So I'm trying to pounce it in there with the paper towel, and it's not working, and I've moved on to the light gray because I'm just not getting it, that this isn't working. So I persist, and now I'm using the darker gray. And it's just looking terrible. Do I stop? No. I go get the black because of, or is this, no wait, this is the darker gray. I got ahead of myself, which I was kind of doing all day because I knew in my mind how I wanted this to turn out. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking at it while I'm doing it going, this isn't working. This isn't looking right. So yeah, and I show you, but it's not looking right. So I go get the black and I start dabbing with the black, and I think that it's just about this point that I decide this is definitely not working because I don't have enough room to manipulate the paper towel and the paint like I usually do. So I am frustrated, and I put the black paint away, and I'm like, what do I do? So this is when I get out some of the tiles I've already made because I have them. I did a floor in the Beacon Hill. I did the bathroom floor with these tiles, and so I go get them, and now I'm just putting them out there trying to find, those are the white ones I did. I'm just trying to find all the black ones and trying to find which one I want to use on the face of the clock, or on the front of the clock, not the face. And so I'm pulling them out and checking to see the effect, the marbling effect, and that, see how it's going. And finally, I think I took every single one of these pieces I had out, and I'm just not, every one of them just doesn't have quite enough of the marbling. It's such a small spot, I really want it to show up. So I'm still sitting here sorting out my tiles, and I'm sticking them in the clock now to see if I like it, which way I would like it to go if that's the one I'm going to use. And yeah, I was just frustrated because none of them were like exactly like I wanted them to look. So yeah, it's just, this is where everything just really started going downhill. It's amazing I pulled off anything today with this. Some of those days I think I should have just gave up and went back to bed. Well, at least I can laugh at it now, and yeah, I'm putting it in there, and I don't know, it's not exactly what the one I wanted, and then I just stuck a bigger one in, and finally I decide, okay, I'm just going to paint this clock black. I was getting so frustrated. I had to cover up the bad attempt at marbling, and so I decided I'm just going to paint the whole thing black. That's where we're going with this. The whole thing's going to be black. And so I am painting the clock black and making sure, kind of off camera, because I'm trying to get into all the spots that I need to be, especially around those little pillars, so that when you look you won't see white sticking out of the black. And I have started getting messy, and let me tell you, the mess gets worse. So I sped it up, and alright, it's black, but then I kept getting my fingers in the wet paint, and now I've got out the model paint again. So I get this great idea. I'm gonna paint the pillars, and that's what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm off camera. I'll show you in a minute what I did, but I'm really trying to get the gold paint on those pillars, and it's going okay. This part's going good. It was when I decided I wanted to try to paint some gold on the top and bottom, which I did after this. You won't see it because it did not go well. So anyway, I'm painting those pillars, and yes, I am off camera, and I do apologize, but I'm really trying to not get gold paint all over everywhere. I wanted the top and the very top and very bottom of the pillar, column, whatever you want to call them, to be black with the gold in the middle, And there I've just got to start on it. And I think I did have the gold on the edges at that time. Massive disaster. So I am off camera again, and yes, I had painted around the edges. It did not go well. I even had a thin brush. I was shaking. I was like, yeah. Frustration. I should have walked away, and I didn't. So anyway, please excuse my being off camera, but I'm really trying to get the back side of those, because if you look in and there's gold to the front, you don't want to see black at the back. And it's a tiny, tiny space. So here's the clock with the pillars painted gold. I should have left them alone at this point, but I didn't. I thought, well, maybe I'll add some more of the gold, and I think it was in between there that, yeah, because I put the paint away. I had glossy accents on my fingers, and I tried to put the lid back on the gold paint, and I spilled the paint all over everywhere. I took that part out because I was so mad at myself. I spilled about half the bottle. So now I'm putting the clock face in. I've already put the marble pieces in. I thought I was recording, and my battery died. So the marble is at the back, and I'm putting the clock face in over the top of it. And like I said, this new camera, I like the camera, but it doesn't like to zoom in, which is bad when you're doing miniatures. But anyway, I am just right now just looking at this to try to get it straightened out, because I don't want my clock face crooked. And though you can't see the clock face, it is not crooked. It just isn't. So now I've turned the clock upside down, and I'm going to be putting these little gold bead caps I painted on the bottom of the clock for the little feet. So I was turning them all over so that when I went to pick them up, they'd be the right way around, and I didn't have to try to, turn those while I was trying to glue them on, because I'd already had like the world's largest mess, and I didn't want any more mess. So now I'm putting them on there and trying to get them to set evenly. I didn't want, any of them tilted or anything. I wanted the clock to set up nicely. So, and then of course that one decided it had to stick to my finger. And, yep, see, it stuck to my finger, so I just left it on my finger. And I didn't have enough glossy accents on there. So, yeah. I am now placing it on there and using both fingers because I didn't want to risk it sticking again, since I got it in a pretty good place. And so now I'm just putting the other two on, trying to get them evenly spaced so that all four were, pretty much in the same place in each of the corners. And I'm putting the last one on. And I'm trying to make sure that they're sitting, so they're flat against the clock and not tilted at all. So I decided better not touch them anymore, but I touched them again. And yeah, I messed that one up a little. So then I'm looking around for something to put across that's flat, just to get them, to make sure they're sitting on there the right way, which was rather stupid. I found this little piece of molding, and I decided I would just kind of lightly push down with it flat to get my feet on there flat. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm like, oh, the heck with it, I'm just going to turn it over and set it down. At this point, I probably shouldn't have. But that ended up okay. So now I'm taking the big finial that came on the clock, and I realized it was too big, so... Or no, wait, no, these are the small ones, I think. It's where I'm cutting the wire off from the... Yeah, these are the small ones. And I cut the wire off, but I didn't cut it short enough. It was still sticking out, and this wood is really hard, so I couldn't just poke it down in there. So in a minute, you'll see me realizing that I need to cut more off this wire that's on there and try to get it flush with the bead, or as close as I could. So I'm just working on that now. I decided to try to put it on with the tweezers, which did work much better. I guess I cut it off camera. Trying to line it up with the pillars. I didn't get it lined up with those either, not perfectly. So now I'm working on the other one, and I again get the tweezers because that seemed to work better. And I'm placing it. I wanted something in the middle, but the original finial off the clock was too big. So I tried to cut it off, and I broke a piece out of it, and I'm like, okay, when and if down the road I find, something I think will look good in the center of this clock, I will go ahead, paint it gold, and put it on. But at this time, it's not, and I probably shouldn't have been dragging it around with the feet on, but I mean, at least Glossy Accents grabs pretty good right away. So anyway, I'm just trying to keep these straight now, and one of them wanted to lean backwards, and yeah, that one came off again. So yeah, it was the wire. Here I am clipping this wire off now, and hoping I can get it flat enough on the bottom that I can glue it on. So I put some more Glossy Accents on, grab the tweezers, and go at it again. And it sticks. It's just hard getting them to sit straight, and like I said, they're not exactly in line with the columns at the bottom, but yeah, anyway, I'm like at this point going, okay, this is where we're gonna leave it. And I just straightened that one up a little bit because that's the one that kept wanting to lean over. Anyway, it's pretty much done, and I try to show you, but this stupid camera won't focus on small things. So anyway, and I will do a finding the camera. Yeah, see what I mean? The clock face is totally blurred. I hope you can kind of get an idea. Anyway, this is pretty much it for the clock. That came off again. I did fix it. So here's the clock sitting there, and I still can't get a decent picture. But I want to thank everyone for joining me today on I'm going to call it a bad venture, which did turn out okay. I thank you again for watching. I hope everyone's having a great day. Bye-bye.